Hi everyone, and welcome to our first lesson, CBT Basics. Now CBT technically stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, which is the methodology that I primarily use in my clinical practice. You and we're not going to be doing therapy together. We'll be doing education. But since the educational components and the exercises that we'll be doing flow from cognitive behavioral therapy, it's a good idea for you to understand the basics, hence the lesson. I've created a video for you with the help of my adorable and talented daughter, Sydney. I hope that you enjoy it. When we find ourselves acting in ways that we're not proud of, it's comforting to believe that we're really not this person, but that we were provoked by someone else's bad behavior or that other stressors in our lives cause us to behave this way. We want to believe that by nature we're nice, decent people, and that it's the slow driver that causes us to honk and yell, and that the person who didn't say hi to us this morning causes our bad mood for the rest of the day. But is it true that an event or someone else can cause our behavior? To answer that question, let's brush up on cause and effect. We have an innate biological and evolutionary drive to understand how or why things happen the way they do. Understanding cause and effect keeps us safe and makes the world more predictable so we can manage risk and increase pleasure. For example, once we learn that rattlesnake bites can cause sickness or death, most of us want to improve our chances of survival and we avoid contact with rattlesnakes. When we see a snowstorm in the forecast, we protect ourselves by bundling up or staying inside. In a million different ways, big and small, understanding cause and effect is important to our survival and our happiness, including the need to understand why we act the way we do. We learn that A causes B through repetition and consistency. We know that when Stefan here spikes this basketball against the ground, it's going to bounce. And we know this because we have direct experience bouncing basketballs and we've seen it done by many other people with the same results. So we learn that A, spiking a basketball, causes it to B, bounce, because it happens every time, no matter who spikes it, or if it's spiked inside a gym or on a street corner, every time A causes B. Let's try another. We learned early on that sticking a finger in a live electrical socket causes a shock. We were taught not to do this, we may have seen other people or even got shocked ourselves, but every time somebody sticks their finger in a live electrical socket, they get a shock. A causes B. Okay, one more. What do you do when you're driving on the freeway and a speeding driver cuts you off? You panic and freak out, right? Maybe even exit the freeway and vow to drive service streets forevermore? No? You do something different? Let me guess. Maybe you curse, honk your horn, shake your fist at the jerk. Or maybe you take the opposite tack and smile and wave. Or perhaps you prefer sign language. Or you're the type that believes in hitting back twice as hard. These are all possibilities, right? We've seen them all. Now remember, we're talking about cause and effect. So in order for A, getting cut off in traffic, to truly cause B, our reaction, the same thing would have to happen every time by every person. And that clearly isn't the case here. So human behavior doesn't follow the same rules as the laws of natural science. So we got to change the equation just a bit. Now, we still have A, that activating event that starts the process, and B, we'll call this behavior. The A is the same, getting cut off. But there are so many B's. You could freak out, scream and yell, smile and wave, or hit back. And because of that, we know that A isn't causing B. There's something else going on. Something is happening in between the activating event and the behaviors. That something is thinking. Thinking is what actually causes and accounts for the many different behaviors that people display after experiencing the same event. When anything happens to us, we immediately begin to attach meaning to that event. Hundreds of events, big and small, pass through our thinking boxes every day. Our thinking boxes contain all of the information and tools that we have to analyze everything that happens to us. Everything the world has to throw at us gets filtered through our thinking boxes, and everyone's thinking box is unique, full of our own personal beliefs, experiences, thoughts, prior learning, perceptions, and we use those things to determine what the event means and what to do about it. Our thinking boxes influence how we see the world, like a lens on a camera or a magnifying glass or the proverbial rose-colored glasses. If our speeding driver gets passed through our lens and we think, "Oh my God, that guy almost killed me," then we're likely to get scared and freak out. If instead the speeder gets filtered through and we think, "How dare he speeding like that around me?" then we might get angry and honk and yell. Or we might think, "He has an emergency," and feel a little bit more tolerant and smile and wave. This process of examining our thinking and how it impacts our feelings, behaviors, and life consequences is well researched and widely accepted. This is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy, but we call it creating better thinking. Together, we will be examining our thinking boxes because everyone's thinking box contains errors. And those errors in the way that we process information coming from the world results in problematic feelings and behaviors that can cause us real problems. As we clear those errors out of our thinking boxes, we naturally begin to feel better. There's a sense of peace in knowing that we can manage whatever life throws our way. No, life won't be perfect, but we're now able to better navigate life's ups and downs. Thank you for completing CBT Basics. Now that you've completed the lesson, all I would ask from you is that in the upcoming week, you start paying attention to your thinking boxes, your self-talk, what you say to yourself. Especially if you find yourself experiencing week, you start paying attention to your thinking boxes, your self-talk, what you say to yourself. Especially if you find yourself experiencing strong negative emotions, anger, anxiety, sadness, what is it that you're saying to yourself when you're experiencing those strong emotions? Now, you completing this lesson has put you right on target for us to next week start looking at what is in your thinking box and how it got there and what to do about it. Up next week is faulty beliefs. We're going to look at common faulty beliefs that many people share that cause a lot of us a lot of problems. But until then, I wish you all good mental health. See you next week.